Good morning and welcome in SimWorld today, Monday, March 25th. We got a good episode ahead, as every episode is obviously a great episode. We're going to talk a little SimWorld prep. We're going to talk a little SWFL. But we're going to start in the association SWBA over the weekend. And first off, I should do this. One of my manners. I'm Marsh, and I'm joined by B-Ron. B-Ron, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Marsh. How you doing, man? It's good to be here with you this morning, starting the week off right. Let's do it.
I got in again podcast mindset, not co-hosting mindset. We'll
It's
we'll
all
get
right.
there.
Yeah.
So we'll start in the association on Saturday. The Denver Nuggets took down the Portland Trailblazers by 3 points. They were without Jamal Murray. They were without Nikola Jokic in that one. So the question to you is: this a proving point of the Nuggets, or do we already know who the Nuggets are?
I think we already know who the Nuggets are. I think everybody is kind of on the bandwagon of them being a really good team. And without I do think that it does show that they have good depth, and it does show that they have guys who can come in and help out when guys like Jokic and Murray aren't there. I think that that's what it shows, and to me, that's what's the most important thing coming down the final stretch here of the regular season, getting into the playoffs for the Nuggets. And if you want to be a championship level team, I think your best asset is your depth, because there are going to be times where your stars aren't always on. We see it here in some more prep all the time here. Same holds true in the SBBA, in my opinion.
Well, if we needed a win over the Portland Trailblazers to prove the Denver Nuggets needed any sort of depth, we're looking in the wrong places. This is the same Nuggets team that beat the Los Angeles Clippers, a much better opponent, one might argue, earlier in the season without Jokic, without Murray. So I think to pinpoint, hey, we beat the Trailblazers by 3 points. Uh, let's try to use a little bit higher watermark to prove our valuability in the league, because the Portland Trailblazers are not really the league stomping version they've ever been, at least not since 1970 when Bill Walton roamed the floor. But the Nuggets and the Nuggets are the number one team in the NBA for a reason. It's why I think picking anyone else to win the SWBA Finals is foolish. You've got Nikola Jokic. Jokic is the best player in basketball. There's not anybody that can go toe-to-toe with him. I think Jamal Murray is underrated in the accolades. I think he's got league-wide respect, but he continues to not really get it. And then you've got a guy like Aaron Gordon who can step in and play big moments. But again, all of this was proven last June when they rolled through the entire Western Conference and made their way through the Heat, which was a cute story, but was never going to actually be competitive against the superior Nuggets. Let's switch to the Oklahoma City Milwaukee Bucks game they played last night, and Milwaukee gets steamrolled by the Bucks here. Not a great game for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He really struggles, 5 of 12 from the floor. He ends with just 12 points. He's a guy that's been getting 30 on a continual basis. They end up losing by 25. A sign of alarm for you, B-Ron, or is it maybe the Bucks finally coming into order?
I think for me, it's more so the Bucks starting to get it together here, and I think this is it's a good sign. I was kind of expecting this when they got Lillard to come in and everything. I thought he was gonna help out Giannis a lot. Um, and with the win last night, in the way that it happened anyway, I feel like this was a good sign. Giannis had 30 points. Lillard had 11. Brook Lopez had 14. They got a lot of help from everybody, really, in this one. I think that that's a good sign.
I think that when you look at games in the SWBA, it's easy to look at one game and try to pull a whole lot of things from it. So maybe unfair to ask a question based off of one game. But it's what starts to open up the evidence case for a team based off their production. So
Right.
I'm not going to spoil us with a long analogy on the Warriors, but the Warriors lost last night in a vacuum to the Timberwolves is what it is. But when you expand that league wide and season wide, they've had a lot of them to indicate they're really not a great basketball team. For the Thunder to have one hiccup on the road against a Bucks team that's starting to figure it out. Chris Middleton has a triple double. I think it's his second or third game back. I think there's more of the Bucks starting to piece things together. I'm not going to suddenly start raising a concern flag, partially because I don't know that the Thunder are really the team that's going to emerge from the Western Conference. Because of course I still like the Denver Nuggets out there. So I'm not going to start a panic attack over the Thunder last night. But it's one of those things where you notch down and say, all right, is this worth monitoring? Switching gears
Right.
to what's also worth monitoring, the number 3 pick in the SWFL draft could very well be available, according to head coach Gerard Mayo and the New England Patriots. He said they'd be open to moving the number 3 pick. B-Ron, smart or unintelligent?
I think it is unintelligent. I think when you have a high pick like the Patriots do, and you have a lot of needs, one of your biggest needs being a quarterback, since you're not sold on Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, I think you use that pick to go get a quarterback. I've never understood nor liked the idea of a team who's struggling, trading away a top pick for something you might not even get or need in a big way like Patriots do in a quarterback, because there's no other quarterbacks really out there, in my opinion, that you can look at that are what a trade available that you would really want. You really want Zach Wilson? I don't think so. As an example, just throwing him out there as an
Well,
example.
here's the thing. Why are the Patriots interested in trading down? Why are they interested in trading out? Well, because, like you said, they need a quarterback. So why wouldn't they take one there? My opinion would be that because they believe they have been told by whoever's going to end up picking at number 2, whether it's a trade or not, and the Chicago Bears are number 1, that the quarterbacks that they want are going to be off the board. Now, you can make any assumption over who that is. Washington currently sits at number 2. They're probably going to stay with that pick, and they're probably going to be ending up with it. So if the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams, and let's just play the hypothetical game here and say Washington wants to take Jaden Daniels. If the Patriots don't believe Drake May or any other quarterback is going to be the quarterback of their future, there is absolutely no point in making a draft day decision that puts you in a long-term investment in a quarterback you already don't believe in. If they are trying to change their system and say, we want to be a running system and Jaden Daniels is the quarterback we want, then they're not going to do it. Or vice versa, if the Washington Commanders believe they're going to take Drake May and they say, well, we don't really want a running agile quarterback, we want somebody with more pro experience. Well, Drake May's not there anymore. So don't call this, and I'm not calling this, you are calling this, but don't look at the Patriots saying, hey, we want to move out of number 3 by saying, wow, that is just idiotic. Can you believe what are they doing in New England? They still think they got No, they're probably looking at it and saying, we don't believe there is a quarterback at this spot right now that is going to be an elite down the field player for us. Best comparison we could make. And it's not a good one based off how the careers turned out. But 2017, the Cleveland Browns were desperate for a starting quarterback. And there was Mitch Trubisky sitting right there. Could have been their franchise guy. Instead, they went Myles Garrett. Now, this is the same draft that Patrick Mahomes fell to the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's why I'm saying this isn't a great example, because Patrick Mahomes ended up being elite.
Yeah.
But at the time, Patrick Mahomes was not the number 1 pick. There was nobody profiling
Right.
that. It's always important to remember that when you're talking about drafts and where guys end up. The Browns decided to not take a quarterback because they had other needs that needed to be filled. Let's be honest. The Patriots have a hell of a lot of other needs that need to be filled, and if your quarterback isn't there and is not great, there's no point in forcing it into a guy you don't believe in.
That's very true. That's very true. When you have, like you said, if your O-line, for example, your O-line isn't great, it's not gonna matter who your quarterback is because they can't be protected. So I definitely get where you're coming from with that analogy, and yeah, no, I think that is a very good point, Marsh. We'll see what they do with the pick, if they do decide to trade it away or not. But I'm definitely interested in following that story along and seeing what happens come draft time.
Let's move to SimWorld Prep, where Cooper Flagg shockingly named the SimWorld Prep Player of the Week after scoring a record-setting 46 points. We've talked about this briefly before. I've talked about it at more extensive lengths. the one-man band, the one-star rule that, I just don't believe in guys that are, or believe in teams that are relying on one star. Rick and I spoke about it, so B-Ron, I'll give you the floor. Does he, and maybe you don't even believe in the one-star rule, but is he good enough, let's go with, to carry a team all on his own, and will it actually happen?
So I am a little conflicted on this because I also do believe that you can't get it done with just one star player. I think we've seen it time and time again in various sports, especially basketball, where it's a very team reliant sport. LeBron James, Kobe, those guys can't do it on their own. And I'm not comparing Cooper to those players at all. I'm just saying that to put that one star point out here. I don't think that Cooper's good enough to do it on his own. But I do think that he could do it. He could do it on his own. I don't think he will, but he definitely could. The problem with the OGs, what we've seen all season, is that they'll have some good games where their other players will come in and pitch in and help out a good chunk of it. But there's a lot of times where they don't. And you never know what you're going to get around Cooper Flagg, which has been their big problem all season. So I don't think that he'll be good enough to do it on his own, but it wouldn't surprise me if by some miracle he was able to do it, if that makes any sense at all, Marsh.
Well, it makes complete sense that you've just walked the exact middle of that line without making a declaration in either way. So I'll help you out, and I'll do that. I still don't think it's going to happen. It's too difficult to win that many games with just one player. I think your second point was a very good one, that this team does not have a lot of depth, that Kamari Ward, that Jay Laster, they've been good, but they haven't really emerged as guys that can be consistent. But I'm not gonna deny the fact that Cooper Flagg is a fantastic basketball player, but I'm also not gonna deny the fact that you're reliant on him to never have a bad game. You're right; it could happen. Like, a lot of things could happen, but I'm gonna go a statistical route and take the field, which is 31 teams, over the one team, which is Cooper Flagg. I just like my odds a little bit better if I say this one team is not gonna win, as opposed to these 31 teams are not going to win. That's just going to be a hot take. I know, hot take. Mathematical equations are very contentious. But that's all we got. We got no games, so no SimWorld prep wrap up. Obviously, we'll keep rolling back those following game nights. But thank you for tuning in. We've got B-Ron back in tomorrow morning. We'll be back at it. Hoops returning at the SimWorld prep level tomorrow on Tuesday the 26th as well with the SimWorld TV triple header. Perfect language here on an early morning. Triple header, and we'll make sure to dive into those three. So thank you, B-Ron, for joining us. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for watching SimWorld today. And, of course, the only place where you could see the game be the game.
This has been a presentation of SimWorld Sports.